Book 1, Bazur's Plot, Chapter 56. Are there any cursed ones in the Noctwale? Tara was standing beside me as my pair, and I said to her, I'm sorry that I started to uncurse the Moorbears. Somehow I just did not even think, but just started to do that. I hope that was not a huge mistake. Tara was looking at me and said, I saw you started to do that, and Moorbears blinking confirmed that to me. So I let the Capricors know instantly, although they had already noticed, that arrows would be a good idea to ensure that Bazur would not understand that we were uncursing them. Hope is that he would save his own skin like he did. Bazur knows someone was here due to the arrows. He did not realize that for sure, of course, who it is. But the hope is now that he thinks that White Goddess has trained her army with new skills, which is actually true. So the assumption is that he goes to get his army and feeds them to the arrows next time we meet. I said, that sounded very awful. But I guess that is a normal thing when one is evil and does not mind about others, I continued. Okay, that actually sounds like what he could be thinking. I was worried that I had screwed up things, but I guess at the end we got the two huge Moorbears away from him, and Eirekir is still living, and Bazur went back to his cottage. So I guess all is as well as they can right now, Tara smiled and said. Yes, I would say so. So let's get on with it. I did not have any of the medical elves here, but I did have some remedy left, and Tara was with me. But when I was walking toward the first house, I heard footsteps behind me and Tara. I saw Thrain walking toward us. He saw me noticing him and said, Tara, I can help to give the remedies for awakened creatures. Tara smiled and gave Thrain her remedy bottle also and hurried somewhere in the middle of the village. Thrain continued, I feel so awful that this is all caused by my son. I want to do all I can do to change the situation. I looked at his sad face and said, I understand you're feeling different feelings. We are not responsible for other people's actions, even when it is our own son or daughter in question. And especially thinking now Bazur. He is a grown man. He's responsible for his own, not you. And how could you? He did curse you and all of your tribe to make sure you were centuries out of his way. Thrain looked at me for a long time and said, Thank you for your words. I nodded and turned to scan the first house. Nothing. We went around the houses and also checked the surroundings of each house to be sure that nobody was cursed there either. It was very uneventful for the moment. I started to think that maybe this village did not have anyone. We arrived at the south end of the Noctwale village, and something was clearly different here. I took a couple steps to the trail that Jack and others would be soon coming here. Thrain asked, we were not supposed were we supposed to stay here in the Noctwale? What do you see? I replied very slowly, I'm not going far, but I think they were all together trying to flee, since they're here in the few meters to the woods are many living things. I could easily say that this might be the whole village full. Thrain looked at the left of the trail and said, Wow, to me it just looks like normal woods. Nothing out of ordinary. I nodded. I know. It's Bazur's purpose. He must have learned some bizarre magic from somewhere, since you all from his tribe also do not recognize his curses. Thrain nodded. For sure. But here in Myria, we have never needed to defend on anything like this. We have had some trickery or naughtiness, but normally creatures are just living in harmony. We have a couple who were banished to Earth and locked out, so they would be not able to cross back to Myria, but nothing else. I laughed. You dumped them on Earth? That is actually super hard punishment. But I fully understand why you have not needed any black magic. I looked at him. We have maybe 20 or 30 creatures here. We need a little help. Thrain looked at me stunned and turned on his heels clearly to get help. Before he left, he said to the air, Capritors, who are around, can you keep an eye on Sarah? I will go to get help from the camp. A head popped up instantly and said, we got it, and then disappeared. I'm just in awe of these Capritors. They are everywhere and so silent and everything, really. Thrain returned shortly with Tara and Svala from the camp. Tara said, so we have all village creatures here, huh? I nodded and she continued, well, start doing your thing then, I said. They might be more scared or fighting than usual. For me, this means that they are. The formation says clearly that they tried to get away. Others nodded. All of the others were holding remedy bottles in their hands and ready to start calming down the awakening ones. I looked at the things making that buzzing noise or static to understand which one I should go first. I went around for a few seconds and then I picked up the closest ones to the trail. It was not the biggest object, but I felt the most important. I nodded toward it and said, somehow I feel this one might be an elder and could help to calm the others down. I started from that creature and continued without looking at all the others. There were a lot of them. Some of just baby ones held by their parents, and that was easy to see since if a small tree was almost like inside bigger one, or big and small stone were almost interlinked, or it was likely to be parent and baby creature. I did the parent first and then awakening the baby so they would see them moving and making noise. That calmed the awakening creatures right away. I continued to do my thing, but I peeked behind me where Svala, Thrain and Tara were having a handful explaining to others what had happened and helping them to awaken. The first remedy was easy to give since they normally were almost like puppets when the curse was fading. Their normal appearance returned, but they were like dummies for a moment. Remedy helped them to gain functions in thoughts and body, which then caused calm waking or aggressive waking, depending on which state they had been left in when cursed. There were so many of these creatures that we were running out of hands here. That first creature I uncursed seemed to be an elder one. She was walking around calming others down. So she was clearly a super creature since it was not an easy to get a body functioning at this speed. They were clearly not the same creature types either, but everyone seemed to listen to that tiny small elder lady. She looked a lot like a mushroom, but still being a creature. I turned my attention to the rest of the creatures that I had left. I had maybe 8 to 12 left, and I continued to uncurse them. Once I finished, I scanned behind them and looked to see if I missed anyone. I felt a draw to walk into the woods a few steps. Normally, I did not find anyone in the woods themselves, but this time the whole village was off trail, so my intuition was saying to go behind them a little. I walked around a mossy cliff or rock formation, and there was like a small dent at the back side. Not even cave-like, but more just a dent or crack in the big rock. I just walked around. There, 5 more. I undid them and called for help. I started to give a remedy from my pouch, but I needed to help to keep them calm. I was a human, and awakening creatures normally did not like too much of me first. The elder woman came and was so happy to see the small creatures. They were all not baby ones, but more like child ones. She hugged them, and the fear faded away from her eyes. I took steps back to give her space for them. Tara came, and the kids were clearly knew Tara and tried to reach for her. The elder lady and Tara helped them to where others were. Tara nodded to me. Are you thinking scanning more since these were like this scattered? I nodded, and she said, wait just a second. I will come with you. I just helped these kids with their parents. I scanned while she helped the kids to move around the rock formation. The wood seemed very calm, but there was something still telling me to go forward. Tara appeared by me and I said, there's something different here than ever before. I'm drawn to go there. I pointed towards some bushes and trees in front of us. Something is here, and it's not evil. Something is buzzing and making that noise to me. Tara nodded. Let's go. I guess she had seen enough, and she doubted my intuition way less than I did. That actually made me feel more confident and trust my intuition. This was the right way to go. I knew it. So I took the steps toward the buzz sensation. We walked for a few minutes, and this forest was funny since we could not even hear anyone else. Here, right in the middle of the trees, it was like someone had left a few big tree logs here to wait for something. It was a bizarre look, since it was like tree had been cut down and made a few big cuts and then just left there in the middle of all the trees. But it was not logs I was looking at. It was the three bigger creatures. I started to feel pain from the logs, and I hurried awaken them. Once they changed to creatures, Tara gasped air beside me and hurried to them. She cried aloud, Papa, Mama, Sissy, what did he do to you? I hurried to help them too. They were bound in hands, legs, and multiple places in their bodies, so that they could barely breathe, even if the curse was not there anymore. Tara cried aloud, I knew to expect bad things, since I saw Vespera in such a bad state. Bazur clearly had used physical violence to all of our relatives, since we know magic. Not an evil magic, but good magic, and he wanted us all out of his way. He never found me, since I got a message through the grapevines that Bazur was doing bad and evil things, so he had not before he had found me. I am also the only one black as night, so I'm the hardest to find. All three were in really bad shape. Tara was crying and giving the remedy to each of them one after another. They were opening their eyes, but they were very weak. I took my pouch and looked at it. I looked at the three of Tara's family members, and I went back to the pouch and asked to get a strong medicine that it had to revive them and give them help to recover enough for the transport to the palace. 2 bottles appeared in the middle of the pouch. I took them and gave them to each of them. It clearly did something. Tara's papa's eyes started to focus, and he saw his daughter. A tear was coming out of his eye to the cheek, and he tried to say something. Tara cried and said, Papa, you don't try to talk. We found you finally. We will take you to palace to recover. We found Vespera too. He nodded, and his voice was working a little bit. Bazur, you know already? Tara nodded. Yes, we know. You disappeared over a year ago, so a lot has happened. Right now we need to get you 3 healing. You, Mama, and Joviena, we have you all here. Papa moved his head and saw two creatures by him and sighed. He saw me and looked puzzled. I smiled faintly and said, I am Sarah. I am human from Earth, and Tico and Tora brought me here to help. I learned from seafarer uncursing, and we have been uncursing all the woods from south to here to the fifth woods. I don't really know why I said all of that, but it was like the old wise eyes who seemed to ask for that information. And I also bowed to him. He looked at me for a long time and then nodded. Yes, that was needed. He turned his head back to his wife and other daughter and said, How are you two feeling? Neither one is glowing, so you are hurt badly? Tara's mama looked very ill but smiled. I'm hurting everywhere. But I assume that is a good thing, since physical pain and hurt is easier to heal than evil curses with cuts. She turned her head to Joviena. What about you? I was trying to protect you until I don't remember anything. Joviena was actually sitting up. She was not glowing, but her color was orange, where Taras was all black. Her mother was dark blue and father was very much lighter, almost a silvery color. I could see the colors, but they were not glowing at all. Joviana smiled and said, Yes, you did protect me. I think I got the least beating from him, but he did hit my head and legs. I think he managed to stun me quite quickly. Maybe that was a good thing. Looking at the shape you two are in, I feel my Jupiter orange sign is just dimmed and not gone. She did look quite well. I got up and said, Let me go to get some help here. I wonder if we have any more berries available. Tara nodded and looked into my eyes with such a grateful feeling that it made me almost cry. I walked away those few steps to get help. Capritor popped his head out of the woods and said, You need help? I smiled and said, Yes. I think we need more berries since Tara's family is not very well. Capritor nodded. Let me rush them back. Stonehide and Deepclaw are already returning from their tribe home. That was chapter 56. What did you like about it? Let me know in the comments, and remember to listen to the next chapter here back in the channel. Please comment if you find something puzzling or unclear, and comment otherwise if you find something, for example, funny for this one. Not very funny chapter, but there is some humor in there if you found it. But now, bye till the next chapter. Bye.